Second, Nehemiah. We find Nehemiah standing before the king Artaxerxes, in his heart full of sorrow, but his spirit is steadfast. Nehemiah fasted, prayed, and mourned the condition of Jerusalem. The city laid in ruins. He knew that it wasn't just about the walls, it was about the people's identity, their faith, and the connection with God. Now, as the cupbearer of the king, Nehemiah had an important role. He tasted the king's wine before the king drank it, ensuring that no poison was present. But today, Nehemiah's heart wasn't forced on the wine or his role. His heart was focused on Jerusalem. The weight of the city's brokenness pressed on him, and when the king noticed his sorrow, Nehemiah knew that this was a moment he had prayed for. The king, seeing that Nehemiah's sadness, asked, "Why does your face look so sad, Nehemiah? You are not ill. This must be a sadness of your heart." Nehemiah was encouraged and replied, "Why should my face not be sad when the city of my ancestors lies in ruins and its gates have been destroyed by fire?" Nehemiah just didn't express his sadness. He took the opportunity to ask the king for permission to return to Jerusalem. He needed the king's blessing to rebuild the city's walls. Nehemiah trusted that this was the moment God had been preparing for him. But Nehemiah didn't ask for permission. He asked for the resources, materials for the work, the timber for the gates, and the protection on the journey. And Nehemiah's astonishment, the king granted his request. Nehemiah didn't ask just for what he needed. He asked boldly, trusting that God's provision. The king, moved by Nehemiah's passion, provided everything Nehemiah needed to make the journey and to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Nehemiah's story reminds us that when God places a burden on our heart, we can approach him with boldness and trust that he is willing to provide his purposes. So today in Nehemiah chapter 2 teaches us that when we are faced with the burdens God's placed in our hearts, he will open the doors that we never thought were possible. Nehemiah had no guarantee that the king would help him, but he prayed and he took a leap of faith, and God moved. Sometimes it takes one step of faith in God's directions to see a miracle unfold. I encourage you to reflect on what burden God has placed on your heart. Is there something that you've been hesitating to act on? Take a bold step in faith, just like Nehemiah did, knowing that God will provide. Trust him, and he will guide you in every step of the way. Before I end, I want to share something deeply personal. Today, I laid my sister to rest. I love her so much, and my heart is heavy with her passing. But now I know she's with God's hands. I trust that he is with her now, just as he is with us. Goodbye, my sister. I love you always.